Gorbachev was an important person in the ending of the Cold War in the Russian side. He was born in Stavropol in May 2nd, 1931, to a peasant family. During his early life, the Cold War started because the United States were concerned about the Soviet Union. During that time, Mikhail Gorbachev started getting involved into politics. He became a part of the Soviet Union Communist Party by enrolling in the Moscow University. Here he met Raisa Maximova and married her eventually. He would soon start making a lot of progress in the Communist Party. He was named a Committee of the Communist Party in 1978 and then became a Party of Secretary of Agriculture in 1979, a candidate member of the Politburo and the full member in 1980, where he was the youngest member. In 1985, he was elected General Secretary of the CPSU. Gorbachev gave his idea to reform society, specifically the ideas of perestroika and glasnost.
Perestroika was about reforming economy and opening it up to market forces, while glasnost was more about political reform, with ideas like religious expression and individual liberties, and it was what led to democracy. His ideas got to people, and Eastern European communist dictatorships started falling down. The Wall of Berlin was taken down. In May 1989, he was elected as chairman of the Soviet supremacy and turned to president. Gorbachev was the most important in what became the end of the Cold War.
Communist places in the Soviet bloc and Eastern Europe fell apart, and Gorbachev acquiesced them tactically and chose non-communists for the government. He even reunited Germany and got the Nobel Prize of Peace. Some destructive processes the Soviet was unable to do led to the disintegration of the Union of Republics Mikhail was leading, but Gorbachev made efforts to prevent it. In December 25, Gorbachev resigned from presidency and never returned to Russian politics. Despite not being in Russia politics anymore, Gorbachev still continued to change the world. He criticized Putin in 2011 and prevented a new Cold War. He has also written books expressing his ideas to change society. His wife died in 1999 and it was painful, but he continued to change the world without being in politics.
Gorbachev stood up against communism and fought for people's rights. He had different ideas than how the Soviet Union worked and stood up for them. He stood up for perestroika and glasnost, and both of those ideas changed both the Soviet Union and the rest of the world as well. He stood up for people's rights because communism did not allow people to be free. It doesn't allow freedom of speech, fails to provide protection for citizens, no free enterprise, and it's a dictatorship. This is some parts of communism, and this is what Gorbachev wanted to stop. This is what he stood up for. He had to pass 3 laws to end communism, but he still stood up. He now is an inspiration for people to take a stand and fight for their rights. He has changed the world with his ideas and ended the Cold War.
Mikhail Gorbachev is an important person in history because he stopped communism in the Soviet Union. He also stopped the Cold War, and he also brought better things for both Russia and America and the rest of the world. The fact that he stopped communism was good because it made people have more freedom. He also brought a better relationship between America and Russia. He helped Russia because they could not afford to keep going with the Cold War, and people were staying poor, even poorer than the poorest in the capitalist places. He also prevented a dangerous war, because if the Cold War hadn't stopped, there would be 2 powerful arms just to destroy each other, and could have started World War. America might not have been able to keep up the arms race either.
Mikhail did not only help the countries in the war, but others as well. As the Cold War caused several conflicts in other countries, he even warned people of a new Cold War. He was a very important person in history. Mikhail Gorbachev is important to history because of multiple reasons. First, he helped prevent a war which was going to begin between the United States and Russia. This could have started a world war, but thanks to Mikhail Gorbachev, that possible war was stopped. He also helped to spread the democracy at that time. He was president.
Throughout the years, there has been people who guide others, give hope to others, and support others. Those type of people are leaders, and one of them was called Mikhail Gorbachev. Mikhail Gorbachev noticed there was a problem with communism in his country, and decided to act and to take a stand. All those people who were suffering because of communism went behind him and helped to put a stop to communism. Mikhail Gorbachev was not only a leader to his country, but to others like Europe. He helped end communism in Europe and take down the Berlin Wall, which was a border that was separating Western Europe from Eastern Europe. Mikhail showed leadership in this act and did what he knew was right.
What do you think about Mikhail Gorbachev?
I think he was a little underrated. He led to the reforms that ended the Cold War and brought stimulated the economy and social freedom in Russia, which I think is a pretty good doctrine in those days.
Can you tell us like how he took a stand?
I think he took a stand against communism because he was socially a little more socially oriented, not focused entirely in communism. I think he called to the first democratic elections, which was a great step to democracy. He ended or he retreated. He ordered to retreat the Soviet troops from Afghanistan. I know he's stimulated the economy, even though he was in a race for nukes, which eventually led to his downfall. But yeah, besides that, I think he was a tremendous leader.
Okay, thank you very much. To stand up, people must face challenges to change the world. The same applies for Mikhail Gorbachev. He had to stand up to stop communism and the Cold War and change the world. The Soviet Union was a communist place, and to change that will take a lot of effort. People were concerned about Gorbachev's actions. Aneta Lichernia, Gorbachev's own advisor, said in his diary entry of May 2nd, 1989, "Inside me, depression and alarm are growing. The sense of crisis of the Gorbachevian idea. He's prepared to go far. But what does it mean? His favorite catchword is unpredictability, and most likely we will come to a collapse of the state and something like chaos. Even if people doubted him, he kept trying to change the world. His wife died, and it was really hard for him, but he still continued changing the world. Some people thought of him like an uncontrolled man who had no idea what he was doing, and some think of him like an inspirational revolutionary leader. But either way, he took his stand and changed the world."